morning, guys, and welcome to a different video blog today from what I've been doing for the last month or so. And as you can probably tell from the title and the intro, today is all about cars. I'm excited to announce that our new car is coming next week. I can't wait to get it, and we're going to keep it for a surprise video then. But none of the cars at the start of the video are anything like what I'm getting, so don't think I'm getting something crazy, because I'm not. It's a little bit crazy, but not to that level. But super excited about that. So in honor of the new car coming, I'm going to have a look back at all the cars I've owned in my car history since I was 17, which was when I bought my first car. And we're going to go through them, what attracted me to them, what I liked about them, what I disliked about them, and why I moved on to the next car. So without further ado, let's get started. So my first car at 17 I bought was a 1998 Subaru Impreza RX 2-litre, and it was bright red manual. The reason I ended up going for that car was because at the time I thought the coolest car you could have was a WRX, because of P-plates in Victoria. Couldn't have a turbo, one, for the power output, and two, no one would insure you for one. So I went with the next best thing, which was the RX sedan, which looked like a WRX. Mine had side skirts and a rear spoiler on it, but only the low one, not the tall one, like the rally car. And I really learned to drive in that car. It went to the snow a lot. It got driven on mountain roads and didn't have a huge amount of power, 88 kilowatts and 175 Newton meters of torque. So not overly powerful, which kind of made me learn how to drive mountain roads and carry speed through corners and really learn to drive. I love that car, probably my favorite car that I've owned. One, probably because it was my first car, but it was just a great car and came to actually its own demise. I was stationary and someone ran up the back of me at 60 kilometers an hour and wrote my beloved car off, which was really sad. And that's what made me move on to my second car. So car number two was kind of a move away from a road car onto a four-wheel drive. So I bought a 1999 Land Rover Freelander, probably the worst car I could have bought. And I bought the two-door version, or it's actually called a three-door because of the tail gate opening on it. They called that a door, but it was really the two-door, four-seater. It was white, and it had the hard back on it that you could remove for in the summertime, which I don't think I ever took off. What attracted me to that car was that it was a four-wheel drive. It was relatively nice inside, had leather seats, and I thought that's what I wanted. But after coming out of my Subaru, it didn't drive anything like that. It drove like a truck. It had a petrol engine in it that was pretty inefficient. Unfortunately for me, broke down a couple of times, didn't have a lot of power for the weight of the car. It had 84 kilowatts of power, so not a huge amount. And yeah, just the driving experience wasn't great. And the biggest thing that drove me up the wall, because I did a lot of kilometers going to and from the mountains and to other ski resorts while I was ski instructing, was I assumed that it would have cruise control, and it didn't. So long road trips were pretty shitty in it. It was loud because of the removable back part. And yeah, pretty much the car I disliked the most that I've owned over the time. And then at that point I was traveling overseas a lot. So one of the years I went away, I sold it. It actually got sold while I was away, but it got sold, and then I had to come home and buy a new car. So car number three that I had after I got rid of my mistake of a Land Rover was I bought a 2002 Subaru Impreza, so back to Subaru, but I bought a WRX this time. I was 23 or 22, 23 when I bought this, which was fantastic. I found a company that would insure me for it, and so I moved up from the 2-litre non-turbocharged car to the 2-litre turbo with 160 kilowatts and 290 Newton meters of torque. This thing was so much fun. I had a maroon hatch, as you can see, which kind of actually made it affordable for me because it was the undesirable bug-eyed Impreza, which didn't last very long because it was so unpopular, and I got it in maroon or like burgundy color. That was also unpopular, so the resale on it was super cheap compared to everyone wanted blue and black ones. So I stretched my budget all the way to get that. I really enjoyed that car. Had so much more power. It was manual, and it again spent a lot of time in the mountains and was really a good driving car. It had sport bucket seats in it. I think they were Recaro seats, and it had the racier steering wheel, a shorter throw in the gear shift, all around. Super fun car to drive, fitted all my gear in it that I was lugging around at that time, and yeah, was just a great car. After a while, once I got a real job back in Melbourne after ski instructing and coaching for a while, I decided to move on to a car that was a little more suited for the snow. The fourth car that I owned was a 2004 BMW X3. I had the 3-litre straight 6 engine in it, which is a really well-renowned BMW engine that they'd had for quite some time over the standard 2-litre or 2.5-litre X3 petrol. That was a great car. Actually more power than my WRX, but a heavier car. But 170 kilowatts, 300 Newton meters. So it had good power for the car. It drove well. It was my first automatic, first sort of German luxury car. I had that for a couple of years and quite enjoyed driving it. It actually drove really well in the snow. It had hill descent control. I used that a couple of times in the snow just to test it out, and yeah, it was phenomenal. And once you had it on the sport shift as well, it was, in the snow, it was a really good car. The reason I moved on from that car was we had a deal with a car maker. So that leads me on to the next two cars. So cars 5 and 6 came about from a deal that I managed to do with Jeep for Aussie Skier, my old business Aussie Skier, and they provided us with 2 vehicles over the winter to drive up and down to Bulla every weekend and to whatever other adventures we did in the mountains over that winter. Richard took it to Bogong on his touring trip, and the first car they gave us was a Grand Cherokee diesel Overland, which had a 3-litre turbo diesel in it, and it had everything on it. It had radar cruise control, it had auto dipping headlights, heated seats, vented seats, heated rear seats, reversing camera, auto rear tailgate. So it pretty much had everything on it that you could have wanted. They wrapped it for us, so it had, as you can see, it had Aussie Skier up the side. I did all the design for that, which I was really happy with how that car came out with the chrome and the blue chrome on it for the branding, and worked really well for Aussie Skier as a branding exercise with Jeep. Driving wise, it was not super powerful, but it had tons of torque. So it was 184 kilowatts, but it had 570 Newton meters of torque, and up the mountain roads it had plenty of low down power to pull you out of the corners. It did drive like a big car and probably wasn't the best. We live in inner city Melbourne, so it wasn't the easiest car to get around through the narrow streets and finding parks and whatnot, but overall it was a pretty good car because I'd heard reviews from about 50% of people that Grand Cherokees were crap and the other half that they were good, and I think it was kind of luck of the draw which one you got. So probably the best thing about that vehicle was that Jeep owned it, and if there was any problems with it, it went back to them. We didn't have any problems with it, so that was good, but yeah, if there had been any, it wasn't on us. That brings me on to the final car that I had, which is the Jeep Cherokee. We had the Trailhawk Edition in 2014, 3.2-litre petrol engine, automatic, and it was the second worst car that I've driven out of the 6 cars that I've had. It chewed fuel. We drove it to Canberra on a road trip to the SIA trade show after the winter, and we had to fill it up so many times. It was just Terrible on fuel consumption. They claimed 10 litres per 100, but it was definitely more than that. It was also too tall. Going around the mountain roads, it had lots of body roll. I'm not sure how it was off-road. I'm sure it was a lot better being the off-road version. The best thing about that car was we had it wrapped in snow camo. As you can see, it looked awesome. It was silver originally, but yeah, the wrap, thanks to Jeep, I again did the design work on that one and was really happy with how it came out. Probably the only cool feature that it had, which was fun to play with, was auto parking. That was a lot of fun. It was a little fiddly. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but when you got it to work, it was a pretty cool trick to be able to do. So that brings me to the end of my car history. What have I been driving lately? I've been driving Elle's 10-year-old Corolla that she bought brand new back in 2006. You would have seen it, I think, in some of my other vlogs. If anyone is interested, it's done like 100,000, just over 100,000, 117,000 kilometers. If you're potentially interested in it, let me know, because it's going to be up for sale once we get the new car. Either comment below or email me or contact me through social media. It doesn't really matter how, and I'll get in contact with you and maybe sort something out. The car is in Melbourne, so if you're not in Melbourne, it's probably a bit difficult. Okay, so to wrap up this video, what's coming up? Back to more traditional video blogs that I've been doing, or vlogs that I've been doing for the last month or so. We head to Bulla tomorrow night. It's been snowing all week, which is exciting. I've had 60 or 70 centimeters. More stuff has opened. I'm looking forward to going and skiing Bull Run when I get the chance. We've got Junior National Mogul Championships on this weekend, and we're driving up with Drew tomorrow night, so I'm going to steal his camera. He's got a digital SLR camera, so be some different footage, finally change up the camera setup, and that's Saturday, and then Sunday we'll be free skiing, so fingers crossed the weather is good. Back here on Sunday night, and then more house stuff, and then obviously the car arrives, fingers crossed, all going well, on Thursday. So yeah, we'll have some fun videos next week. Until then, I will see all of you guys tomorrow. So, see ya.